Hello everyone, I am Ankit and you're watching StudyIQ IAS English channel. Now in our today's video, we'll be talking about a very important waterway in the world, that is Suez Canal. But why are we talking about Suez Canal? Let us find that one out. Now if you read the context of our today's discussion, you'll find out that the Suez Canal Authority, which is responsible for managing the Suez Canal, it is offering a 15% discount on transit fee which will be paid by the cargo ships traveling through the Suez Canal. For example, suppose if you're traveling through National Highway. So obviously when you'll be navigating through National Highway, you need to pay a toll to the NHAI, right? That the National Highway Authorities of India, who is responsible for managing the highway, right? Similarly, whenever the ships are traveling through Suez Canal, they need to pay a toll or a transit fee to the Suez Canal Managing Authority known as SCA or Suez Canal Authority, right? Now this move by Suez Canal Authority to offer discounts to the ships who are traveling through the Suez Canal is very important because it highlights the impact that the Red Sea security crisis had on the traffic of ships traveling through Suez Canal, and this was primarily due to the attacks done by Houthi rebels on the ships belonging to Israel. Now Houthis, you understand, they are a part of axis of resistance of Iran, right? What are the other axis of resistance of Iran? This is Hamas, which rules over Gaza Strip, as well as Hezbollah that has presence in the country of Lebanon. So Houthis is one of the axis of resistance propped up by Iran against the Western allies of US, that includes Israel, right? So because of this violence that Houthis conducted over ships that belong to Israel and its other allies, this led to a significant disruption in the Red Sea region and particularly on the ships that were traveling through Suez Canal. So in this regard, we'll try to understand in our today's discussion what is Suez Canal, okay? Now earlier, whenever ships had to travel from Indian Ocean, particularly in ports like Bombay, and if they have to enter Europe, that is in Mediterranean Sea here, what they needed to do earlier was travel through this long distance through Africa or southern coast of Africa and then enter into Mediterranean here. This is called as Cape of Good Hope, okay? So this was a longer route, and you understand whenever the ships have to take a longer route, automatically the time taken for this journey would be quite high and also the cost of travel, okay? So to make things easier, the world constructed, or Western allies, they constructed a tunnel or a passage of river here, or a waterway passage here to make things easier for ships moving from Indian Ocean or through Arabian Sea, and they can enter into Mediterranean Sea through this particular passage, and this is where the Suez Canal is located. Let us understand where the Suez Canal is located by zooming onto the map of Middle East, right? Let me change the color of the pen. Now if you travel from ports in Mumbai here, you can take a shorter route through Bab el Mandeb into the Red Sea. This is Red Sea, and the ships would travel through Red Sea into this water body which is located in Egypt, known as Suez Canal, right? So this is basically in Egypt between Mediterranean Sea and Red Sea region, okay? Now let us look at the Suez Canal. It is located, here is Red Sea and here is Mediterranean Sea, and Suez Canal is the narrow piece of waterway between these two water bodies, okay? Now if you look at the map from here, you'll see Suez Canal connects Port Said, which is located in Mediterranean Sea, through the Suez area, which is located in the Red Sea region, and this is the narrow piece of waterway which flows between Mediterranean and Red Sea. So this is the map of Suez Canal. Now let us understand few important details that you might be required in the exam about Suez Canal. Suez Canal is an artificial sea level waterway which is running from north to south from Isthmus of Suez located in Egypt, and it connects Mediterranean Sea with the Red Sea. Now this canal also separates African continent from Asia, that it divides Egypt between two different regions, that is Africa and Asia. Now this is the part of Egypt which is known as Sinai Peninsula. Let me change the pen color again, Sinai Peninsula. Now Sinai Peninsula is located in the Asia part, whereas rest of Egypt is located in Africa. So basically this Suez Canal is the difference between Africa and Asia. Understood? Now moving back to this slide, right? Now this Suez Canal, it provides the shortest maritime route between Europe and the lands which is lying around the Indian and Western Pacific Oceans. And this is a 150-year-old canal which was controlled by British and French interest in its initial years. But after Anwar Sadat became the president of Egypt, he nationalized this canal in 1956, and now the canal is managed by Egypt, particularly its government entity known as Suez Canal Authority. And this has been handed over and is in control with Egypt from the 1956 onwards. Okay, now let us move to the next slide. Now, how has Suez Canal made things easier? Automatically you can understand the earlier route of Cape of Good Hope, that is through this route. It was 19,800 kilometers long, right? So obviously the shorter distance now is Suez Canal, which is just 11,600 kilometers, very much less as compared to the earlier distance through Cape of Good Hope. Okay, so essentially it shortens the travel time, it reduces the cost of travel, and it also enables businesses to export their products quickly into the European markets through this Mediterranean Sea region. Otherwise, they would have to take a longer journey through this Cape of Good Hope. So this is why Suez Canal is so important, because it is located here in the Egyptian region, which is a difference between Asia and Africa. Okay. Now, what you need to understand is the importance of Suez Canal. Why is Suez Canal so important, not just for India, but also for other countries? Because Suez Canal accounts for about 12 to 15% of global trade as per the latest data by the International Monetary Fund. Similarly, about 30% of the global container traffic flows through the Suez Canal before the Houthis attack began on the ships belonging to Israel and its allies like US. Also, it is a key passage for about 8 to 9% of global energy flow. So whenever ships are traveling with oil, with crude oil, with natural gas from Middle Eastern region, they effectively take the Suez Canal route to reach the markets in Mediterranean and also in their different parts of Europe. So that is why it is so important for global trade. Now let us understand what are the background of the crisis which led to this move by Suez Canal Authority to reduce the transit fees. Now, in November 2023, Yemen-based Houthi rebels, which were backed by Iran as their form of axis of resistance, they began targeting commercial vessels that they believed were linked to Israel and its key allies in the region, that is US and other countries, because Israel was conducting its military offense against another axis of resistance organ of the Iran, that is Hamas in Gaza, right? So this violence by Houthi against the commercial vessels belonging to Israel, it prompted world's major container lines to divert their ships from Red Sea and from Suez Canal region, and they rather took a longer route through Cape of Good Hope. Now, as much of the cargo and movement were routing away from Suez Canal, obviously the amount of toll that was collected by Suez Canal Authority, it reduced drastically. As you can see, the revenues that were generated by Suez Canal Authority, it crashed. Earlier, they were making about $10 billion every year. Now, they just made $6 billion, which is a loss of $6 billion. Understood? So, they now made $4 billion. They earlier were collecting $10 billion. Now, the Red Sea crisis, it hit the traffic and also the revenue of the Suez Canal Authority, and therefore it also led to a higher shipping cost as vessels they required to move through a longer route from Africa, that is Cape of Good Hope, and extended the duration also for the time it took the ships to navigate a longer route, and it extended the duration of travel by 10 to 14 days. Automatically, whenever you require to travel larger amount of distances, automatically the fuel consumption of these ships increased, and they tried to pass on these increased fuel costs by charging higher freight rates to the customers who were utilizing the shipping services. Now, this longer voyages, in addition to making or leading to increase in freight charges, also made the vessels availability somewhat lesser, and therefore it contributed to the inflationary impact on the freight rates that exhibited between Asia as well as Europe, right? Now, vessels, they are still looking to transit through Red Sea, but whenever the vessels they require to pass through Red Sea, they are needed to take insurance, and obviously whenever they are passing through a region which is witnessing violence, the insurance companies would charge a higher amount of premium from these shipping companies, right? So this also added to the inflationary impact on the freight charges. First of all, the ships were taking a longer route. As I told you here, they were required to take a longer route for Cape of Good Hope, which increased the time taken for this travel and also the cost taken for this travel. And also, whenever the ships were navigating through the shorter route, they needed to pay a much more higher amount of premium to the insurance companies, so that in case, God forbid, their ships are attacked by the Houthi rebels, they can get the insurance claim from the company. So these were the impact that these kind of violence did on the overall freight rates that happened between the Asia and Europe region, right? So this was the impact on crisis. Now let us understand how this crisis impacted India. Obviously, it impacted India quite severely because Europe is a major market for Indian made goods, right? And India, it heavily relies on Red Sea shipping route, which navigates through Suez Canal to export its goods to European markets. And nearly 80% of the volumes that India sends to Europe, it travels through the Suez Canal region. So automatically, whenever this trade shifted from Suez Canal to a longer Cape of Good Hope, the trade flows, it automatically dented the margins that were made by Indian businesses. Why? Because they needed to pay higher freight charges, and when they needed to pay higher freight charges, automatically their profit reduced. And this also negatively impacted the amount of exports that India does to Europe, which is a major market for Indian goods. Also, much of India's trade depends on overseas shipping and foreign flagged commercial vessels. So also India does not have in its own control to make it mandatory for the ships to travel through a shorter route. Therefore, it led to higher amount of freight charges which were paid by Indian exporters when they were exporting goods to Europe, and automatically dented their margins and effectively or negatively impacted their competitiveness of their products in the European market. So this is how this crisis impacted India negatively, right? Now let us understand what are the recent developments that has happened in the region. First, that the Suez Canal Authority, it reached out to 25 major shipping line operators and maritime agencies, and it urged them to gradually return their vessels using the Suez Canal region. And they said that there is a positive development that has happened toward ensuring return of normalcy in the Red Sea region. And what was this positive development? It is after US President Donald Trump visited Middle East. This allowed US government to sign a ceasefire agreement with the Houthi militias, and the Houthi militias agreed not to attack any ships belonging to US that were traveling through the Suez Canal region. But while doing so, they maintained that they will continue to attack Israeli flagged and linked ships that are not a part of this agreement with US, and also they will continue to target these Israeli backed vessels. So therefore, this is not a complete elimination of violence from the region. They will not attack US based ships, but they will continue to attack Israeli based ships, and therefore Suez Canal Authority had no other option but to offer discounts on ships that were traveling through Suez Canal, so that to enable the shipping companies to send their ships through Suez Canal. Understood? So these are the recent developments. Now in this regard, the Houthis agreed that they will have a ceasefire in the Red Sea region. So in this regard, Red Sea also becomes important from our exams perspective. So in that regard, let us understand Red Sea. Now Red Sea is a semi-enclosed inlet of water between Indian Ocean, and it connects continents of Asia and Africa. So you can see from this image, this is the Red Sea region. Let me change the pen color. So this is the Red Sea region, which connects Arabian Sea with Gulf of Eden here, and Bab al-Mandab Strait. Strait is a narrow piece of water body that exists between two lands. So Strait of Bab al-Mandab exists between Djibouti in Africa and Yemen in Asia, right? So this is a Red Sea passage, and when you are entering into Red Sea, first you will enter into Gulf of Eden, then Bab al-Mandab, and when you navigate through Red Sea, you can enter Suez Canal and gradually into the Mediterranean Sea region, right? Now if you look at Suez Canal here, it is separated by Sinai Peninsula, and Sinai Peninsula bifurcates this region into two narrow piece of water bodies, and these two narrow piece of water bodies are Gulf of Suez and Gulf of Aqaba. Right, Gulf of Aqaba has a very famous port of Israel here, and Gulf of Suez, obviously Suez Canal is located here. So these are the two narrow piece of water bodies, Gulf of Aqaba and Gulf of Suez, and they are connected to Red Sea. Understood? So these are these two water bodies. Understood? Now let us come back to this discussion. Now Red Sea, obviously it connects Arabian Sea and Indian Ocean region in the south with Gulf of Eden and the narrow strait of land or narrow strait of water body, that is Bab el Mandab. Now the northern point of Red Sea is bifurcated further into two different water bodies, as I've already told you, Gulf of Aqaba and Gulf of Suez, where it is connected to the Mediterranean Sea via the famous Suez Canal. Now let us understand few geographical facts about Red Sea. Now Red Sea, the bordering countries of Red Sea, which is quite prominent from here, you can see Saudi Arabia, Yemen, Eritrea, Djibouti, Somalia, as well as Egypt. So these are the countries that are bordering the Red Sea region, right? So in this regard, let us understand the countries that borders Red Sea. It is Yemen and Saudi Arabia, which you can abbreviate it as YESO, as well as other countries in Africa, that is Egypt, Sudan, Eritrea and Djibouti. So effectively the mnemonic that you need to remember about countries bordering Red Sea is YESO and SEED. Okay, SEED here is Sudan, Eritrea, Egypt as well as Djibouti. So these are the abbreviation that you need to remember. A simple mnemonic, YESO and SEED. This is about the bordering countries in Red Sea. Now there are famous islands also located in Red Sea. That is Tiran Island, which is near the mouth of Gulf of Aqaba, and Shadawal Island, which is near the Gulf of Suez. So these are the two important islands that are there in the Red Sea region. Now another important fact about Red Sea are the geographical facts. These are that Red Sea is one of the world's warmest sea. It contains some of the world's hottest and saltiest seawater, and this is due to high evaporation that is prevailing in the region. You can understand the region of Middle East, it is full of desert, and obviously the temperatures that are prevailing in the region are quite high. So because of high temperatures, this region witnesses also the high amount of evaporation. Further, there is very little or no amount of rainfall that happens in the region. Therefore, addition of fresh water does not happen in any water body. Therefore, the Red Sea is one of the hottest and saltiest seawater. Similarly, what you need to remember, there is no significant river or stream of water that drain into the Red Sea. Therefore, this Red Sea witnesses high amount of evaporation, little or no amount of rainfall, as well as little or no amount of fresh water, that is addition of fresh water through rivers or streams, right? So this is because of why Red Sea is one of the hottest and saltiest seawater anywhere in the world. Now the name of Red Sea, it is derived from the color changes that is observed in the waters of Red Sea. Normally the Red Sea is of intense blue-green color, and occasionally Red Sea becomes populated by extensive bloom of algae known as Trichodesemium erythraeum, right? So this algae is what gives the color of reddish brown color to the Red Sea, and therefore the name of Red Sea is due to this reddish brown color, which happens due to this algae that I've told you, Trichodesemium erythraeum. So this is what you need to remember about Red Sea. These are the important facts. What you need to remember, that there is no significant river streams that are draining into the sea. The levels of evaporation is quite high, whereas precipitation or rainfall is quite low. Therefore, it is one of the saltiest seawater. And the color of Red Sea, or the name of Red Sea, is derived from its reddish brown color, which sometimes happen due to the presence of this algae we talked about. Okay, so this is all from my side for today's discussion. Let's see if you are able to solve the question. This is a PYQ of the year 2024, which appeared in prelims. This was regarding to Red Sea. And another practice question that I've given to you is, Egypt is located between which country? And this is very similar to the question that appeared in 2014 about the bordering water bodies of Turkey. So I've changed that question to suit our today's discussion. Egypt is located between which of these following water bodies? Do let me know the correct answer in the comment section, and the ones who will answer it correctly, I will like your comments. So this is all from my side for today's discussion. You can download the notes on this particular Telegram channel that is called as ATS Live. So either you can search the keywords ATS Live on the top right hand corner of your app, and alternatively you can also scan the QR code, and this will take you directly to the channel. So this is all from my side. I'll see you again. Until then, please have a very good day.